Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Natalia here at Divinity Inspires. I am an intuitive channel, tarot reader, cosmic guide. Astrology is my emphasis, and my mission is here to help individuals line into their gifts. If you are tuning in today, we are just receiving a channeled message regarding using our nurturing capacity to help us explore our capacity to grow beyond fear, to embrace what is naturally within our soul. Today we're going to be working with the concept that everything that you need to succeed is actually already here. It is already something that was planted within you before you entered into your body, into this incarnation, into any contracts. Your soul came in with a mission and a purpose to dive deep into finding out who you are and remembering how to utilize that sense of joy in a world that sometimes challenges us to strengthen the capacity of our spirits by embracing the challenges that come. So our emphasis today, and if this is something that resonates with you, is how do we use self-compassion and nurturing to reframe what once might have created fear in ourselves to a level of curiosity. Being curious as a way to utilize your personal strength of openness to the unknown, as a way to help you diffuse what would have been difficult or uncomfortable, and letting yourself go through that discomfort, knowing that in this moment you're being made into something more versus needing to have the answer. At times our ego feels more comfortable trying to control the outcome we think is going to make us most happy, the way that the world may perceive us, or the situations that we pull ourselves through fear, utilizing our courage, but then have to ground this sense of inner clarity. So when we're using nurturing and self-compassion as a way to reframe anxiety, we look at our inner child, which in my activities, I like to imagine a small little girl with her hands balled up into fists, but she's saying, "I've got this, I've got this." And she puts her crown on her head, her tutu is on, she's very small, she's very young, and she moves forward and she's very driven. So if you've ever been working with your inner child and looking at where you've wanted to work on some acceptance, honoring that the power to go through discomfort and to go bravely gives us the openness to embrace the deeper parts of our soul that come online when we are experiencing discomfort, when we are experiencing fear, when we are experiencing ourselves facing the wall of what we've known and leaning into something much more ancient in our souls that is not only taught to us by others, but it's something that awakens in ourselves when we ask ourselves, where in my life have I felt this need for compassion? Where have I felt that I've been holding myself back from something that was more natural for me to step into? What is that part of you that is unique to you, that is something that not only can you be in an acceptance of, but when you're in a place of fear, what is something you can tell yourself that allows you to nurture that truth, nurture that knowing, nurture that curiosity? So something I've been seeing with my clients lately, and what called me and my guides into messaging this and sharing this today, was as we're embracing changes in our roles, in who we are and how we express ourselves, we take what we used to know and we identify that tightness, almost like it's a knot at times that says, this is who you were tied to being, and this is where you're going. And these two, they love each other, but they aren't in the same room. And so in life, when we're being pulled from one room to the next, we're being repotted, we're getting the bigger space, we're getting the upgrade, we're getting the nicer things. Life asks us, do you have the capacity to let go of that hypervigilance? Do you have the capacity to embrace something coming in versus you already thinking and knowing? So when I need to apply a sense of nurturing compassion to anxieties or fear patterns, I look back into myself with this affirmation, and I like to pull my hands as a way to pull energy into my heart or into specific chakras. I visualize I'm pulling energy through source as a ball of light, and I'm moving that energy into a different point. And so I actually was taught this by one of my friends, and she's a healer herself, and she would utilize her higher heart regularly, and I just felt that alignment of being of service being of service, and letting the fear that was there, sometimes we need to speak it out by letting that process itself and acknowledge that it's no longer going to sit behind us, but we're going to bring it to the forefront so we can, one, name it, and two, give compassion to the voice that is afraid. So that way the greater part of our soul, our higher self, that is the part of our soul's consciousness that is actually responsible for getting us where we need to be. One of my passed on teachers, she had told me before, she was like, you do not need to worry about the direction of which you are going. You embrace being in the journey and stepping with that sense of creative play that you have not only a right to take up space, but to stand tall in what you believe. And it is the responsibility of your higher self to help get you there. Your guides, a team of CEOs at any moment ready to help step in. And not only that, but they step in exactly as we need. Sometimes we are asked to sit down and wait. And in that waiting, that can bring up the discomforts of our anxieties, our past traumas, our judgments on ourselves, our beliefs that maybe we don't have what it takes to be who we are. If you're someone with Chiron in the first house, or you work heavily with understanding where your wounds can become your strengths, I love to emphasize this in my practice, utilizing astrology, because it helps me understand where our gifts might feel somewhat uncomfortable at times, but as we embrace the ability to look at what we were once uncomfortable with and then turn it into our medicine, our alchemy, we can apply this nurturing compassion and then relate it back to ourselves as a framework of consciousness. I like to do this through speaking my intentions back to myself as if I'm in front of a mirror. And so if you're someone practicing greater self-compassion as you're stepping into new roles, greater senses of self-authority, trusting your position in life and letting God and source connection, consciousness, divine being, Allah, Buddha, Krishna, all being present, universal oneness, any name but the same flow. If you are working on embracing that part of yourself, honor and allowing the sanctity of your life and your gifts to come online, this is what this age is for. This age of Aquarius, stepping into our knowledge, stepping into what our soul remembers to be true. And each being has one, not even just one, but has this internal nature that is able to come forward and to use those sacred gifts that your soul is configured with and to share them and to grow them. And when I'm utilizing astrology, a misconception that comes up with some of my clients and the people I know is that your chart is all that there is, that it doesn't grow. And that's not true. That's not true. As we move through life, we go through different transits. We go through different transitions. There are adjustments. Your soul blueprint grows with you. And the things that you may have needed 10 years ago and the new cycles and lessons that you're stepping into now, they're not always the same. And the beauty is that in timing, it's not about trying to prepare your life all down to the second of what you need. It's actually embracing the beauty of arriving in the moment so perfectly aligned with the divine that when you are there, you can appreciate and be in such gratitude for the moment that life has brought you to. If you're someone like me that throughout your life you've sought out a personal compass, a way to make sense of your world and also to maintain and feel a sense of peace as you develop joy, choosing your passions over your anxieties, choosing your sense of creativity over destruction of the self, choosing your freedom over the immediate assumption of needing to sacrifice your life, your time, your soul to fit in this world. Not only do I believe that there is a way through, but I do believe that utilizing our personal strength and our gifts actually allows us to be stronger in defying and activating personal sovereignty that allows us to be in complete alignment with not only our wellness, but a greater wholeness that affects the collective and is a part of each person being in alignment with them, with their selves. What I feel is beneficial for those of you that are opening up into your gifts now is starting to identify when certain days in the month where your frequency feels stronger, when you're doing certain activities that start to inspire certain behavior, certain levels of your communication, sensitivities, working with your environment and reflecting it as a form of consciousness to see, how can I nurture myself in this moment? How can I call in the sanctity of this inner child who walks through the world fearlessly? How can I speak to her on the level that she is meant to be on? How can I let her take this wheel? And of course, as our inner adult and our inner teenagers hold our hands side by side, processing being in this world and meeting our responsibilities, it's also a beautiful gift that we have the opportunity in this life to be where we are and to do what we wish to do. So if you're receiving this message and this is something that resonates with you, I'd love to help open and hold the space that allows your personal expression to come forward and be embodied in your light. And that is what we're going to be doing in the Astrology and Intuitive Gifts class come May 22nd, as we will proceed each class about a 2-week span. You don't need to attend all of them. Of course, each class is going to have its own unique cultivated crafts based on the timing of the class, as well as the energetic blueprints of each soul in the class as a form of customization. We will be working on different techniques based on the skills that come to the forefront, as well as practicing and opening ourselves to becoming more confident in our sense of self and these gifts, and how we can understand how to utilize them in a more practical way within the world, within our lives, relationships, businesses, and friendships. So if this is something connected to you, again, my offerings will be at the Chakra Shack, and I will be teaching this class on Fridays from 8:15 to 9:30. And pre-register is always good, as once the doors are closed, we have to, as Friday nights can somewhat bring in a bit more of the creative crowd, but we are needing to keep the space intentional and mindful. And signups will be at the Chakra Shack website, www.chakrashack.com. And I appreciate all of those. Anyone who has questions about the class, or if this is something that will be open or available to you, or something that you can develop in or want to look towards, I teach not only at the shop, but also through this YouTube channel and in-person sessions that are meant to help you develop, practice more one-to-one guidance, understanding your personal blueprints on my days at the shop, Mondays, Fridays, and Saturdays. My schedule varies some timing, but mainly I work within the mornings. Scratch all that. If you're someone looking for more personal guidance into your astrology, personal karma, lessons, and soul's gifts, and activating them more presently, I work Mondays, Fridays, and Saturdays at the Chakra Shack, as well as my new location in Laguna Hills at Awakening Center. Thursdays there, and I'm so grateful. If this is something that resonated, again, please like and subscribe and let me know what's something that you're wanting to practice, as it helps inform and let Spirit help me shape and shift the clarity that comes in through this channel, as well as what we'll be teaching. Thank you.